try to stop freedom from spreading worldwide? I don't think so. How many of you want children to be happy? Oh, come on, I said, how many want children to be happy? And how many of you want children to reach their fullest potential? And how many of you want both? We are going to have a great time. I'm so excited to be here with all you freedom-loving people from around the globe. No place I'd rather be than right here with you. My name is David James Rodriguez. The talk is Make State Schools Obsolete. And I heard the quote twice already by Buckminster Fuller. You never change reality by fighting against it. You have to create a new model that makes the old model what? Obsolete. First off, I want to acknowledge you. Because it takes courage, it takes capital for you to be where you are and explore the idea that you own yourself and no one's responsible for your life except you. So the people to your left, the people to your right, why don't we take a look and acknowledge one another right now. Since we're going to spend a few minutes together, you may want to know a little bit about myself. Is it okay if I tell you a little bit about myself? I sold my first business at age 26. I've helped thousands of people learn about respectful learning through my Education Options Expo and YouTube channel, Education Options TV. I published The Underground History of American Education by the legendary John Taylor Gatto, forward, coincidentally, by Dr. Ron Paul. I'm the principal of Valor Academy, which is a school that specializes on apprenticeships. I'm a homeschool coach for parents at homeschoolleader.com, and I'm co-creator of the Gatto Project, which strives to get students out of public schools. It hasn't officially launched, but it's going to. The acronym is Get All the Thinkers Out, and then in quotes, forced learning environments. So that's a little bit about me. Let's get back to you. By the end of this talk, you will have learned 5 models of education that make state schooling obsolete. You're going to learn a little bit about what's wrong with schools today and what to do about it. And 3 curriculums that make forced curriculum obsolete and that can be used in any situation. And a secret to get your kid into almost any college. Is this something you're interested in? Are you sure? Is this something you're interested in? I get so passionate about the school system because it's been going on for so long, and we're talking about John Taylor Gatto in a minute, but he said, how many more centuries are we going to let this school system go on? And there's a book that's called School is Dead from 1965, and they're discussing the same issues that we're discussing today, and we're discussing 20 years ago. So, thank you, Dana Martin, for teeing it up for me. Is it time for a revolution in education? Is it time for a revolution in education? I don't know, man. You guys got to bring your energy up, man. This is the real deal right here. So I would like to share a quick story before we get into the actual content. One early morning, there was an old man walking on the shores of the ocean, and he saw a boy running down the beach, and he was throwing something into the water. He was curious, and he walked over, and he says, "Young man, what are you doing over here?" And the boy says, last night, the tide went down. And so there's all these starfish all over the ocean. So if we don't throw these starfish back in the ocean, they're all gonna die. And the old man's a little bit jaded. He's like, with all these starfish here, how can you even make a difference? And the kid reaches down, picks up a starfish and throws it as far as he can in the ocean. And he says, I just made a difference for that one. By loving humans, we may not be able to change the school system overnight, but maybe it's your child, maybe it's someone you know who needs to hear these education options, because forcing kids in buildings for 12 years is immoral, unethical, and it has to stop by these ideas being shared here. So consider that. The essential question is, what is an education? I've asked this to a lot of people. I'm not going to ask you because I have the microphone, and so I'm going to share it with you, but it's your own definition. Is it a grade point average? Is it an SAT score? How do you know if your child is educated or not? These are important questions. I'd like to give you my definition, and if you don't like it, you can make your own, because it is quite personal, dealing with your mind. And education is the process of learning to use your mind to do something to accomplish goals you set for yourself. Under this definition, the emphasis is on action. And to be intelligent, in my opinion, is to do things which move you closer to what you want. So what do you want? What does your child want? You've heard the cliche that knowledge is power. I consider that to be false. Power, in my opinion, is making a decision, taking action, and creating a result. For me, I believe in education is about building skills, knowledge, and character. And education is about taking responsibility for your life. And education is about identifying, pursuing your mission in this lifetime. This involves learning new things and taking action. So my first recommendation is to define education on your own terms. This is your life. This is your mind. This is the mind of your child. This is their life. How precious is that? So what's going on in our schools? If you haven't done much of the research, take a look at John Taylor Gatto. He was the state teacher of the year twice, taught in schools for 30 years. And the book that I published about the history of the school system, it's actually a republication. It was out of print for 15 years. And the essence is that the school system was designed to create obedient workers and soldiers for the military. Johann Fichte, in the 8th address to the German nations, in summary said, we have to have a system that teaches kids to only do what they're told to do, and they can't even imagine doing anything else except what their teacher approves of. What's it based on? Forced attendance, forced curriculum. And Terry kind of stole my thunder a little bit, but there's nothing else that you're forced to actually be in a building for. If you guys don't want to be here, you can leave. If you're in college, you don't want to be there, you can leave. If you're in a career, you don't want to be there, you can leave. If you're in a relationship that's not fulfilling and satisfying, you can leave. But our kids are forced to be in buildings for 9 or 10 months out of the year for 12 years, from age 6 until age 18. Very problematic. And then I'm from California. They got a bill that forcibly vaccinates kids. And I'm friends with one of the whistleblowers from Merck, pharmaceutical sales rep. And she said, that's just a drop in the bucket. They want to force vaccines on kids, on adults, on elderly people. They want to force it on everyone. So it's time to draw a line in terms of schooling and freedom in general. So what can we do about it? First off, if your kid's in the public school system, you want to have an honest conversation with your child about the government monopoly compulsory school system. What could you talk about? Well, grades and these tests don't matter. What matters in the real world, in my experience, is performance and contribution. How many of you have ever made an important decision based on someone's GPA or SAT score? Anybody? Yeah, I'm going to hire you as my accountant, my architect, my engineer. What did you get in high school? What's your GPA? What's your SAT score? No, I'm not going to hire you. Complete false. But that's what they focus on. You got to have a high GPA. That's a successful life. What a lie. It's got to stop. How many of you have made important decisions in your life based on your beliefs, values, and desires? Right? What do you make decisions on, right? Yeah, that's all right. The future of learning, in my opinion, will include the options where people engage in voluntary learning, not mandatory. So let's get into some real solutions. If you're ready, say, I'm ready. Ready. Thank you. The first model is called democratic schooling. This was designed by A.S. Neal 90 years ago in the UK. It's focused on self-directed learning, no compulsory attendance, no compulsory classes. This is what happens. Your kid goes to the school, they say, here's a menu of classes. Check off what you want to take. If you don't, there's 10 acres in the backyard. There's a bike ramp in the front. There's musical instruments in the barn. Be free. And it's been going on for 90 years. There's a movie on YouTube for free. I recommend you watch it called Summerhill 2008. Every time I watch it, I cry. Because I'm like, I knew something was wrong with the school system. And this option exists. Model number 2 is called Agile Learning Centers. They've been around for 5 years. They got 6 locations. And by the way, these are all unsolicited. Nobody paid me to talk about these. These are ones that I've done my research on and interviewed them. They've come to my expo and have spoken. So Agile Learning Centers has 6 locations. It has a young founder. They're looking to open locations worldwide, so reach out to him. What's Agile learning about? Well, they get the term Agile from the IT world. And so let's say we're doing a project. It's a 24-month project, but IT is a fast-moving industry, isn't it? So let's say a 24-month project could be brought down to 18 months, then they have to shift. They got to be flexible. They got to be agile. And so I can't sum it up in the model, but what they do every day and every week, they have 4 columns. And they have what's possible, what am I doing next, what am I doing now, and what have I achieved? So when they complete something, they put it in the achieve column, and what they're doing now, what's next, and what's possible for that day and for that week. So at the end of the day, at the end of the week, they have a list of achievements and accomplishments that they actually have self-selected and have documented. Not grades and not tests, but projects and things that interest them. Model number 3 is the North Star Teen Center. This has been around for 20 years, 13 locations. They're also looking for people to help them open up centers. Now, this isn't so much of a school, it's a learning center, really focused on teenagers. And if you want to take one of the classes, you can take them. If you want to take all the classes, you can take that. If you just want to get some guidance and maybe go into community college, you can do that as well. And it's similar to what I do with my Valor Academy. They can give you a high school diploma at age 12, 13, 14, 15. You go to community college and start getting on with your life. The 4th model is homeschooling. Homeschooling, in my view, is a lifestyle. It's a way of being. And some people think of it as, let's say, school at home. Like I gotta take language arts and science and math and all these things and bring that into my living room. And that's probably better than the state-forced schooling system, but learning is not compartmentalized. Learning is holistic. So what I say is you harness the interest of your child. Find out what excites them, what makes them feel alive. And around that, I can show you, or I'll share a little bit with you now, build a curriculum around that. Skateboarding, music, science, whatever it is, plants, there's math, reading, and writing, and all those things. And the word curriculum comes from the Latin root meaning to run a course, like a path. So, just like your thumbprint is very unique, your path in this lifetime is very unique. Who has the right to tell you what your path will be? I don't think anybody. There's also a good curriculum. You might have heard of ronpaulcurriculum.com about freedom, liberty. And there's a bonus. I have a free Facebook group called homeschoolleader.com. I just get free content about training peaceful parents to homeschool with success. You can check that out if you want. Okay, the first curriculum for homeschooling, which I recommend, is something I coined, I think, called the world as the classroom, where anything you can learn from and anybody you can learn from can be your teacher. Doesn't determine on your credentials or age or anything like that. If I'm learning from you, if your child's learning from something or somebody, that can be their teacher. So we are learning here, aren't we? Yeah. And it's lifelong, right? It's beautiful. So let me give you an example. What if your 12-year-old son or daughter interviewed a 60-year-old person, just some random 60-year-old person, and asked them a few questions, the 12-year-old to the 60-year-old? How do you spend your day? What do you want in life? What lessons could you share with me? How much wisdom does a 6-year-old have that could share with a 12-year-old who genuinely wants to learn? So much, I think, and that 6-year-old can be a teacher for those few minutes. Now, Dana mentioned it, and I love it also, unschooling. I consider this the fastest subset of homeschooling, and for me, I like to have a more precise description. I call it self-directed learning, right? Because unschooling means not schooling, as she said, and that's beautiful and wonderful. And as Mother Teresa said, she said, you'll never catch me at an anti-war rally, but if you have a pro-peace rally, I'll be the first one there. Because it's all about words, it's all about language in the psyche of the citizens and humans worldwide. So homeschooling also, you can do online learning. There's sites like Udacity, Creative Live, Coursera, Udemy, and you can learn all the important things that schools aren't even teaching anyways to earn a livelihood, to be satisfied, to pursue your passion. These things exist right now. The second curriculum is called the question curriculum. And the purpose of this curriculum is to encourage and then celebrate the asking of good questions, because all knowledge is just an answer to a question. So you don't have to know the answer. Let's say if your child asks you a question, you can just say, I don't know. It's fine not to know, right? The more you learn, the more you realize there is to learn. right? Socrates said one thing. He said he knows one thing. He says, I know one thing, and it's that I know nothing. The wisest man in the world, they consider him to be. This short poem by Rudyard Kipling I really love. I know 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what and why and when and how and where and who. So 3 basic questions if your student child is going to start a new topic. What do I already know about this topic? Write that down. What do you already know? You have a base knowledge already. What can I read or listen to? List that. Who can I ask? Who can I interview? Who can I learn from? The third curriculum, which you can implement anywhere, the action curriculum. The purpose of this curriculum is to help develop the action-taking muscles in your student. And the reason I created this one is because I went to public school, right? And I spent 12 years there and 5 years with a business degree, and didn't help me much, but I learned some habits that hinder me. And one of them is I don't like to fail. How many of you do not like to fail? How many of you love to fail? You guys are the smart people right there. So you want to help your young person learn to take action, because only 2 things can happen if they take action. Either there's a favorable result or there's an unfavorable result. So if it's favorable, what do? Keep doing it. Get better, improve. If it's unfavorable, then change, modify, be agile, and you can learn from that too. But it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean bad or good. It just is a result. The 5th model is what is relevant for my school, Valor Academy. It's called the apprenticeship model. And this model's been around since the beginning of time. And the essence is you have somebody who's a newbie at a situation, and you have an expert, and you connect them. And so one of the tips I'll give you right now is that if they volunteer for that mentor, for that expert, it makes it a win-win situation. The mentor gets a volunteer, and the young person gets a teacher relevant in the world, in the industry, something that they actually want to learn. And back in the old days, an apprenticeship would either take like a 6 or 7 year commitment, and sometimes you'd have to pay money. You know, if let's say I'm a blacksmith or a carpenter or something like that, and this person wants to apprentice under me, I say, well, I'm not going to teach you everything if you're just going to bounce, if it gets too difficult. Like, I need a commitment, I need a contract. And so these apprenticeships, I think, are going to come back, and I think they're the future, really, because the schools are just so far behind. They cannot keep up with the technology and with YouTube and all these things and all the inspirational people here. My gosh, I'm so excited about the future and the present moment. So schools are harming kids and families. The proven solutions are self-directed learning and personal responsibility. And some of you may want to learn how to implement these kinds of solutions, because education is the key to success, and we know that. But politicians use these funny words like quality education, and then they don't define what that is, because they don't even know what that is. They're just trying to get a paycheck. They're just trying to get a pension. They don't know what's going on as well. So I'd like to share with you a couple minutes for some people who would like to work with me potentially, because we have programs running in our minds, right? Like our mind's like a computer, right? We download information. People say things to us, our mom or church or whoever we respect in our life, and these programs are running, right? We got this voice in our head. And for those people that have maybe a little bit of doubt about that, see what the voice is saying right now. That's the voice right there. He's like, man, it's taking forever. What's going on here? So that's the program. So you can actually, that's your subconscious mind, and it directs, they say, up to 95, 99% of the actions that we take. So I do have an invitation for some people who'd like to work with me, and I'd like to tell you about it. Would it be okay if I told you and gave an invitation for some people who'd like to work with me? Yes? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. The most valuable service I offer is called the Education Success Plan. And in that plan, you and your child will learn the secret methods on how to find apprenticeships. I can find an apprenticeship in any town that you live in, whether you have 500 people or 500,000 people. I'm going to teach you how to build a portfolio of achievement, not grades and not test scores. I'm going to teach you how to get accepted into almost any university, and you'll get 3 hours of one-on-one coaching time with me. It's a guided program to help you build a personalized strategy with your student. Now, do you know what the average college debt is for people in the United States? Do you know? 10,000, 20, right? 100 over here. 30,000, 37,000 in debt. How many of you went to college? How many of you think it was a waste of time and money? How many of you made good relationships in college? Yeah, that's what I got. I got like 5 good buddies I met in college for 5 years. Probably cost 50 grand. So my program, I value it at $3,000. And for the people that join me, I'm going to give you the free book, and I'm going to give you access to the apprenticeships, but I really want to work with you. And I've done a lot of coaching for free, and it takes up time. It takes me away from other projects. I really want to work with mothers and fathers and aunts and uncles and grandparents working with kids because I believe I could help you break through and actually give them an education for almost free. So I'm giving you a 60% discount. It's only $1,000 bucks. It's the Anarchapulco discount, and it's not available for any watching the video unless you're live streaming. It's only available, you should see it in the next like 3-4 days. So how much is a child's education worth? If education is the key to success, and success is something that many of us are pursuing, and we can talk about the definition of success at a later date, but isn't that like happiness and fulfillment, achievement, excitement, love, these types of things? How much is that worth? Will the government schools provide your child with a good education? I don't think so. If somebody would have told me, I remember I was in the 8th grade, and I was in my gown, I was wearing my cap, and I was in line, and I was about to graduate, walk across the stage, and they're like, congratulations, you're gonna graduate 8th grade. I was like, I got 4 more years of this crap, man. I'm not happy at all. Like, I'm sad, you know, like I'd rather be home playing some basketball or something. I don't want to be here. If they would have told me, hey, you're 14, I can give you a high school diploma right now, you can go to community college, you can go work with a mentor in woodworking or something of interest, I'd have been like, I am out of here. But the challenge is that mom and dad's thinking is old too, right? Mom and dad believe in it. And my grandfather told me when I was 21 in college, about to drop out, he said, Dave, the biggest regret in my entire life is like I never got a college education. He told me that when he was 91. I was like, whoa, that's your biggest regret? I better just stick to it for 2 more years and get it done. I did graduate, and he showed up to my graduation with his hair slicked back, 93 years old, and his tie, and like that was one reason I was happy, you know, because I got to see him be happy. But in terms of like economic value and fulfillment and, you know, good use of my time, I was not satisfied. So let me finish up with a story. There was once a dad who was busy, and his 5-year-old son would come up to him, Daddy, Daddy, play with me, come on. I can't, I'm busy, son. Please, Daddy. So the father, he was getting annoyed, and he decided to distract his son with a little puzzle. And so he grabbed a newspaper, and there's a picture of the world on the newspaper. So the dad rips up this piece of paper and gives it to him, gives him tape, and says, go put this puzzle back together. Go put the world back together. 10 minutes later, the son brings the newspaper back to his father, all taped up, and the world's all together on this newspaper. All done, Daddy! The father was shocked. Wow, how did you put the world back together so quickly? The boy said, there was a picture of a man on the other side of the world. And when I put the man together, the world got put together. Isn't that a rad story? I love that one. In the same way as we put ourselves back together, right? That's the game in my experience, right? We understand it's not the state, these politicians, nobody's gonna come save the day. There's a lot of people talking about, I like Derek Brose's self-assessment summary. Holy cow, man, that's great. We gotta look inside. How are we treating people? Where are we putting our time, energy, and money? And what are we doing with our kids? And once I discovered the work of John Taylor Gatto, I said, my kids are never going to government school. I don't care what it takes. And so I looked into it, found some of these guys, and so my dream is to build these schools, franchise them or affiliate them, take them worldwide. And the philosophy is that the world is the classroom, and anything you can learn from, or anybody you can learn from, is your teacher. No compulsion, no mandatory anything, just humanity communicating. And I think that's about all the time I have today. How am I doing on time? I'll keep going until they stop me. Oh, there he is. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time. I do have these books available. Come and reach me. Thanks so much. Freedom worldwide!
There was an idea. bring together a group of remarkable people.
To see if we could become something more.
So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
In time, the state will know what it's like to lose. To feel so desperately that it's right, yet to fail all the same. Dread it. Run from it. Freedom still arrives.
Vacate the state. Engage all the speakers and get this man a microphone.
Fun isn't something that one considers when eradicating tyranny. But this does put a smile on my face.
Who the hell are you guys?